He's basically the Pope of black people. If you didn't know, yeah, I surely didn't know, but apparently he knew because Biden is recently was embroiled in some controversy for something he said on the Breakfast Club, which is black media, black-owned media. I mean, I guess, dude, I didn't know, but so King of the Blacks Biden recently went on to the Breakfast Club to talk to Charlemagne about many things, black issues, mainly his current standing, COVID-19, lots of very, very interesting things. Maybe we'll go over the whole like interview at another point in time. But at this point in time, there's a really specific part that has been getting a lot of media attention. All right, and we could just hop back into it. Okay, so here's Joe Biden speaking with here. This is not Joe Biden. I know that Joe Biden is the king of the blacks, but this actually is Joe Biden. And we can stop the meme now. I don't even hate Biden like that. So he was speaking to Charlemagne, and we can just hop into what he said. You know, this is mind you, this is at the end of the interview. They're wrapping things up, and let's get into what was said.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. I mean, come on, take a look at the record.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Anyway, thanks. I will come back.
Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but there's some not great implications to to saying that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I think we can play it one more time.
New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to.
Okay, so he goes on to wrap up the interview there. Charlemagne just wants him to come back. It seems like that comment was kind of skipped over, but it was not skipped over in the media. So what's the problem here? For me personally, I think one of the biggest problems here is the implication that the black vote is kind of votes given by black people are kind of like indebted to the party. That sort of idea that it's kind of not necessarily something that was earned, but it's just given. Biden makes a lot of gestures to the black community, and lots of people lots of black people of all walks of life, mostly older, mostly Southern African Americans, are all about Biden, you know. But I think that has less to do with Biden and more to do with them just being generally conservative, right? So they will go for the more conservative candidate. That being said, if you're thinking about voting for me, if you're thinking about whether or not you're going to be voting for me or for Trump, then you ain't black. That's not exactly the best way to reach voters who are kind of on the fence, you know, especially the black ones. I'm not going to lie. And the real problem here is that a lot of black people are feeling really disillusioned with the Democratic Party right now. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think this helps. I'm gonna be very, very honest with you. The most honest I can be. I don't think this helps. And the Trump administration knows this. Why? Because they know that in this election, it's most likely going to be a thin election, somewhere similar to 2016, maybe decided by a couple states, maybe even decided by it could be even less than 100,000 people over those states, like 2016. It could be. Who knows? But the Trump administration is trying to get everything that they can to make sure that this election goes their way. And one of the ways that they're doing it is by, oh, hey, freaking Cooper, get out of my freaking face. One of the ways that they're trying to make sure that they can swing this election is by putting in as much money as they can into black outreach, right? So the Trump campaign plans to spend $1 million on attack advertising after Biden's black voters comment. So does the Trump administration or Trump's reelection campaign, do they genuinely believe that they're going to get like a sizable portion of the African American vote this election? No, they don't. I don't think the people running the campaign genuinely are like that dumb. They're not going to get it, right? But that's not the point. Their point is to make this election as close as possible. So even if they shave off a couple percent, that's great for them. And then it's all worth it. Trump's campaign right now is flooded with money. They have, I believe it's over like $100 million. They're creeping up on $200 million, and the general hasn't even started yet. They are cash loaded, and they're going to use it for really terrible things. We talked about this in another segment where they're using it to try to put through false, to try to push. I can't think of the words. We've seen this before. We talked about this in another segment where they tried to push court. I can't. Listen. I had a really long day. English is really hard. Okay, English is really hard. Oh my gosh, I am so tired. But I want to stream. I gotta stream. Okay. Gotta restart. These get cut up in the segments, so I'm fine. I'm fine having to redo a couple parts if I really need it. I notice that it's better to just go back. English is a little hard. Listen, don't mention it, all right? Don't mention it. AIU is going to come for me for that one. We've seen the Trump campaign use their massive war chest to silence news outlets with lawsuits, since they can't expand the libel laws like Trump said he wanted to. So instead of doing that, he uses the time-old classic of rich people, which is just to sue people into oblivion when they say mean things that you don't want. We see this all the time, and this is going to be no different, right? But the real problem here for me is, like I stated before, pushing the narrative that the votes from black people are kind of just entitled to the Democratic Party. What is even more dangerous to me, right, is that Biden doesn't understand, right? Free speech, hell yeah, brother. Biden doesn't understand. It's not going to be black people thinking about voting for Biden or for Trump. It's going to be black people and other minorities in the country thinking about voting for Biden or not voting at all, right? And not voting in this election cycle is going to mean a whole lot more than it did in 2008, 2004. It means a whole lot here. It means a whole lot. And these sorts of comments do not help foster a coalition building sentiment among Democrats, independents, and I guess some Republicans, if they really feel a little spicy this election cycle. I get Biden, my boy. I know you've been in the black community for a long time. I've done some research, and I was able to actually uncover this photo of you hanging out with a couple of your supporters. And I would just like to say, just remember, just when you're in the green room for these interviews, I would just say, remember these guys' faces. Remember everything that they did for you. Okay, I really want you to think about them and think about what they would feel before you speak. Think before you speak, Biden, please. It would be better for all of us.